Hello everyone. Before we begin our journey, I want to establish who our team consists of. Anthony Rosas, Elsie Torres, Stuart Jacombe, Eddy Voltaire, and Ariel Lorenzi are in Team Istanbul. We were given the site to observe and analyze their existing conditions on a world, regional, and national scale. The best way to predict the future of the country is to study the past. This is what we know the Republic of Turkey to be in 2020, but it's come a long way since it began. The Ottoman Empire dominated Turkey in areas within Africa, Russia, Europe, and the Middle East since the late 1300s. Founded amid the ruins of the short-lived Seljuk Empire destroyed by the Mongols, the Ottoman Empire emerged. Sultan Osman I establishes the formal government, allowing Sultan Mehmed II to conquer the city of Constantinople, putting an end to the Byzantine Empire, establishing Istanbul as an international center of trade and culture. In 1481, Sultan Selim I would expand the Turks into Syria, Egypt, and Palestine, becoming the leaders of the Muslim world with a population over 11 million. Suleiman the Magnificent establishes the longest reigning sultan of the Ottoman Empire, expanded their dominance in the Balkans, Middle East, Europe, and further into Africa. He welcomed all forms of arts and literature, fostering an era of great power, stability, and wealth with a population of 30 million. In 1683, the Ottoman Empire reached its peak, then declined due to the following wars and treaties. In sequence, the Russo-Turkish War, the Austro-Turkish War, Serbian Revolution, the First Balkan War, and the Anglo-Ottoman Convention of 1913 diminished the empire. Throughout the decline, the Turks removed Christians, continuing to accept Muslims. In 1914, the Ottoman Empire attacked Russia on the shores of the Black Sea, promoting the start of World War I. The British were able to gain control of Iraq, Syria, and Palestine with the Armistice of Mudros Treaty in 1918. France aided England in colonizing the Middle East through the Treaty of Sèvres in 1920. The Turkish War of Independence marked the birth of the Republic of Turkey and dissolved the Ottoman Empire. Ankara now becomes Turkey's new capital, removing the connection between Istanbul and the Ottoman Empire. Understanding the past is crucial to analyze the present, where we explore through the lenses of government, trade, environment, energy, and demographics becoming the chapters of our video. The underlying themes we identified are the mismanagement of environmental policies, the in-between-nation, geopolitical unrest, reconstruction of national identity, Islamization to generate soft power, and the direction toward an autocratic economy and spirit. Elsie will begin our journey by analyzing Turkey's position in the global climate.
Due to water currents and atmospheric wind patterns, the global climate is interconnected. Transpiration from forests generates humidity that affects air temperature, air pressure, and ocean currents, determining both climate and weather events. Russia, Brazil, Canada, the US, and China have the largest forests on Earth, accounting for 54% of the global forest cover. Forest expansion and deforestation has been decreasing annually over the past 30 years. However, the rate of deforestation remains exactly double the rate of expansion. The global demand for palm oil, soybeans, and cattle ranching are major causes of this destruction in Brazil, and legal as well as rampant illegal logging are economic drivers in Russia. Why is this important? First, we need to understand the forest cycle. The dieback scenario is the process by which rising temperatures result in reduction in rainfall, transforming a forest into savanna ecosystem. Reduced levels of forest cover lead to loss in moisture retention, drying, and more forest fires, thereby creating a degenerative feedback loop. In their natural state, forests absorb carbon dioxide in the living flora as well as in the dead organic matter on the forest floor, but when the forest burns, the stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere. Wildfires are naturally occurring phenomena in nature, but due to human activity, these occurrences are becoming unnaturally frequent. In the past 20 years, 57,900,000 hectares of forests have been lost to wildfires, 25,400,000 of which have been in Russia's vital boreal forests. Now let's take a closer look at what makes Turkey so biodiverse. Turkey boasts a lush terrain of Mediterranean, tropical, and conifer forests, which allow for many types of flora and fauna to thrive. Due to its geographical location, it is a hub for thousands of migrating birds. The ecology of Turkey is currently at great risk due to human activities such as hydropower plants and dams and urban development. These issues have potentially irreversible impacts, endangering many species. For example, the historical pattern of wildlife migration through Turkey has been without interference of human activity until the 20th century, but the use of artificial light has disrupted avian migration pattern. The fauna's internal migration clock gets disoriented, affecting the agricultural pollination process.
The Republic of Turkey has the 7th largest agriculture sector in the world, yet has been declining in recent years. Big businesses have taken over local farms, utilizing them to export goods instead of domestic consumption, displacing citizens of rural areas, forcing them to look for jobs in urban areas. These citizens lack the skill set to integrate into dynamic cities producing social collisions. The government has failed to recognize the severity of the homelessness crisis evolving into gekondos, which expectedly fosters health issues.
Turkey's natural resources include oil, chromite, iron, copper, boron, and coal. The mining of natural resources for consumption and production has shaped land markets and industries alike. It is the gift and the curse when improperly managed and regulated. Unsafe mining practices for the sake of capitalism has led to unnecessary loss of human capital to labor markets and the destruction of the environment.
The current Turkish government was determined from the 1980 coup d'etat, completely transforming the political structure, which elected Turgut Özal as their 19th prime minister. He was influenced by Ataturk, who had been an advocate for the westernization of Turkey, specifically following the United States because of their rapid growth. Özal's goal was to be on level playing field with the rest of the world powers financially. Therefore, he opened Turkey's foreign market and established a relationship with the United States, Albania, Serbia, Montenegro, and Macedonia. In 2020, Erdogan would cut ties with these nations, isolating the country. However, Özal has set the financial framework through financing businesses, mechanizing the agriculture sector, forming an economic boom sparking a countrywide growth in favor of utilizing all their natural resources.
The climate crisis analysis interconnects phenomena such as deforestation, desertification, water scarcity, flooding, and wildfires throughout the globe. 24.9 million people have been displaced by climatic events in 2019. Tracking plastic pollution indicates that these three rivers are largely responsible for dumping plastic waste into our oceans. Recent studies have indicated that though China is the world's leading plastic manufacturer, the US remains the largest plastic waste generator. Water gyres accumulate large portions of debris. It's estimated that 1 million metric tons of US exported plastic waste ends up in these gyres. At this rate, plastic is expected to outweigh all fish in the sea by 2050. As we move further, Elsie analyzes what role politics have played in the devastation of our ecology.
There are many types of ecosystems across the globe, such as boreal forests, temperate forests, tropical and subtropical forests, savannas, and deserts. There are also 3 tiers of democratic governing bodies: federal, state, and city. Russia has the largest and most climatically impactful forest, and like Brazil, there is only one level of government managing it, the federal government. In the US, much like Turkey, environmental issues are addressed at all 3 levels of government. Common issues across Russia, Brazil, and Turkey is a lack of enforcement in their environmental policies due to economic incentives. In Turkey, many overlaps in jurisdictions combined with conflicting interests generate loopholes that lead to the undermining of these legislative policies. Prioritizing economic agendas over the protection of key biodiversity areas has led to the mismanagement of environmental policy, perpetuating the ecological disaster.
Cities are characterized by distinct cultural sounds, and for Istanbul there is the adhan, the Muslim call for prayer. With almost over 30,000 active mosques within close proximity to one another, citizens are constantly inundated with the sound of the adhan. The high topographic points, the urban fabric composition, and the materials help propagate the adhan loudspeakers of the Hagia Sophia and Blue Mosque up to 3 miles radius, while there is a legislation in place that establishes the maximum decibels these speakers can reach. That threshold corresponds to severe hearing loss in humans, meaning that milder hearing losses may have already occurred up to that point.
At the national scale, we examine Turkey's polluted landscapes. Ankara, Konya, Kamaran, Kurum, and Bursa are among the few provinces that experience depleting air quality levels. Currently, 75% of Turkey's 84 million people live in cities, and agricultural land use has decreased by 134.5 million square meters since 1995. The key sectors responsible for emitting greenhouse gases in Turkey include power and heating plants, the building sector, and transport. The topography and mountainous regions are optimal for hydroelectric investment. Unfortunately, these facilities are a detriment to the environment, causing floods, desertification, water scarcity, and the displacement of people. Rapid urbanization, social development, and economy increase the construction sector and the Golden Horn, severely impacting the ecology. The stations that measured PM10 exceeded moderate levels, suggested by the World Health Organization, over 35 times. Istanbul's decaying air quality is due to an increased rate of population, which means more coal burning and vehicle emissions. In the last 50 years, biodiversity has dropped atomically, with 120 different species disappearing from the estuary. Currently, the major threats in the bay are high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus from human activity. Urban renewal in the early 2000s increased housing stock for the growing population with fragile materials. The roads produced by physical patterns of the landscape don't have the capacity for traffic, creating massive congestions in the city. Insufficient infrastructure is another form of stress during flash flooding. The transformation of mobility nodes is desperately needed, with supplementary pedestrianized streets that integrate an efficient sewage management system.
Turkey has a sufficient port infrastructure, yet has 4 international ports. The last decade, there has been a surge in financing for the construction of new roads. However, the lack of city planning and efficient infrastructure develops a nationwide congestion crisis. There are select few cities with international airports. However, local flights are still available in the rest of the country. The lack of quality in public infrastructure is evident, except for the high-speed railway that still does not meet the full requirements of the people. The 2004 economic boom has allowed for an influx of constructing infrastructure projects, which runs parallel to Erdogan's premiership. He proposed his vision of 2023, which was to put Turkey in the top 10 global economies utilizing foreign direct investments. Initially, the public was in favor of his plan, but as time went on, tensions rose. A major component of the vision proposes the construction of a canal, intended to decongest the Bosphorus Strait, but cutting through 30% of the city's fresh water supply. The fresh water is vital for migrating birds, and the new connection between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean would create a devastating imbalance on marine ecology. Due to overconsumption of foreign direct investments, the country fell into recession in 2018, which halted construction, yet Erdogan resumed with this vision, putting the country in financial danger.
Analyzing the countries with top nominal GDP, the USA is ranked substantially higher than any other country at $21.43 trillion. Of the countries with the densest cities, India ranks number 1 with 14.3 million individuals living in Mumbai. Mapping the top exporters of natural gas and oil, compared with the countries that hold the largest reserves, we concluded that there are no low-energy wealthy countries, and those with large reserves are often targeted by militarized nations. Venezuela, for example, holds the largest oil reserves in the world, but due to a corrupted government and US sanctions on trade, marginalized groups suffer in poverty and are displaced, fleeing to neighboring countries. Next, we analyze Turkey's energy portfolio and interrelations with surrounding countries. Turkey's goal is to become energy independent and increase exports. 63% of Turkey's natural gas is imported from Russia. Goals outlined by the Ministry of Energy declare a decentralization of natural gas from Russia, which pose a threat to Turkish trade with the European Union. Furthermore, the ministry expressed their importance to resolve escalating hostility between Turkey and Greece. The current disputes over exclusive economic zones in the Mediterranean and Aegean Sea can be considered a state of emergency. It's not clear who possesses legal rights over these zones because Turkey, Israel, and Syria have not yet agreed to sign the UN laws of the sea. The newly discovered Aphrodite field off the coast of the Republic of Cyprus is valued at $9 billion, raising the interest of neighboring countries. Maritime rights are being disputed as the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, who is only recognized by Turkey, is claiming access to the field, undermining the Republic of Cyprus backed by Greece. Turkey has begun to look for natural resources in the Black Sea. In August of 2020, Turkey discovered a natural gas basin within their exclusive economic zone, estimated to last 7 years. This is enough time for Turkey to re-evaluate their position as an in-between nation in the global energy market. Historically, Turkey is a geographical transitional zone. The nation's attempts to gain power on the international scale have come at a great cost to their citizens and the environment.